We're interviewing today Grzegorz Rozynski from the Polish Academy of Science in Gdansk.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, Greg. And you are representative of one of the case studies in the BaltCOAST project. What is the key idea of your case study?
Well, we are investigating Vistula Lagoon, which is our case study, and we have come to a conclusion that our main idea will be economic reinvigoration of Vistula Lagoon, which as a result of past history became economically backward. So after the end of World War II and relocation of population, the lagoon was divided between the Soviet Union and Poland, and the Polish part was cut off from the Baltic Sea, which resulted in gradual economic decline of the whole area. And then after collapse of the communist system, it contributed to further economic degradation. We still have unemployment in double digits there, above 20% in some communities. The young people escape from the area, so we think that in order to make this area living again, we need a kind of stimulus, and the stimulus will be economic reinvigoration of the lagoon in form of rehabilitation of existing and development of new navigational channels and marinas that could house traffic, sea traffic across the lagoon and to the Baltic Sea.
The SAF, the Systems Approach Framework, is
yes.
implemented in your case study?
In fact, we plan to implement this systems approach, that means fully scientific framework to management of a coastal entity. So we now understand that there are economic, ecological and physical components, that there are iterations, because then you plan a change, you then watch how this change affects economy, ecology and physical processes, and then you come to another iteration. So it is really a good idea that such a framework can be applied, and that we can inform our recipients, that means stakeholders, how they should proceed with the management of Vistula Lagoon, but reciprocally they can voice their opinions, and then it can enrich our scientific investigations, because then we can come to a conclusion which combines their interests and view with our knowledge.
Mm-hmm. So you try to involve the stakeholders in the process, and how do you communicate with them?
We had a dedicated meeting with local authorities, plus representatives of the Maritime Office, and the Maritime Office have a strong jurisdiction in coastal waters and in the coastal strip. So stakeholders must consult the Maritime Office when they plan to do some changes in the infrastructure. So it was a good forum for an exchange of ideas, and we also included multiple telephone conversation and email exchanges. And then when there was a need for extra meeting, we had several such meetings, basically with the Maritime Office, because they have information on, for example, dredging volumes, which is very important for our case study, because we have to realize how much material has to be dredged in order to maintain the existing and then to build new navigational channels.
In the afternoon there will be the end user forum. So what is your expectation of such a forum with a view to your stakeholders?
I think that always exchange of ideas is a good thing, that you can compare what other people are doing, you can try to incorporate their solution into your problems, then you can show your problems, and maybe they will be able to extract something for themselves. On the other hand, it is good for us as a scientific community to know what issues are really important for local people, and in this way we can plan our research investigations that will be consistent with their expectations also, which is also very important, because in the current paradigm we have to look for science policy interface, we have to look for end users, and we have to show that our solutions have practical applications as well.
Mm-hmm.
The scientists are used to using scientific jargon, which we understand, but then the local stakeholders, they don't like it. They would like to have simple language. And then we have to prove ourselves that we really understand our problems instead of escaping into scientific terminology, which might be quite misleading for stakeholders. So that's very good that we really have to prove that we understand the problems we are talking about.
What will be the main outcome of the case study?
For us, it will be a vision of the lagoon that overcomes gradually its economic backwardness, which means that there will be more jobs created, which means that young people will not be going away to either abroad or to big cities in Poland. It means that some wealth will be brought gradually to local people.
Mm-hmm. Is it far away, or is it a short time outcome?
Well, I think that the construction of the crosscut, which is another issue and it is a big political problem, but the government decided that such crosscut would be constructed by 2022, and it seems that they are consistent with our thinking, that the network of navigational channels can help overcome economic backwardness. First, I think the first benefits will come to the city of Elbląg, which is the main city in the Vistula Lagoon, but I believe that gradually it will spread to smaller communities, and then more jobs will be created not only in Elbląg, but then gradually in smaller communities. If you add up the planned development of boating in the lagoon, if you add up creation of the connection between the Vistula Lagoon and rivers that discharge to Vistula Lagoon, and then people can use their boats also in those rivers and tributaries, it means that maybe the whole consistent system of tourist activities will be developed there over maybe a decade.
Yeah. So, and also this construction, can this change the water quality in the lagoon?
No, that's why we chose rehabilitation of navigational channels, because water quality is a big issue in Vistula Lagoon, because it has long-term unnatural accumulation of nutrients by Vistula River, which lasted at least 1,000 years. And then after, I mean, during the communist period, there were malpractices related to over-fertilization of the lagoon, because fertilizers were not properly applied. They were just lumped in one stage, so most of them were washed directly to the lagoon, and they produced really difficulties now. And since the amount of nutrients in sediments and in the water column is so high, it will, and despite the fact that the Polish communities have wastewater treatment facilities there, it will really take decades before water quality will be acceptable, so to speak. But strangely enough, despite this fact, despite algae blooms, the water is still good for fish. There is a lot of fish there, so we believe that, for instance, angling may become a tourist issue, tourist attraction, and maybe there will be a lot of people who have boats or who will rent a boat and who will be traveling around the lagoon and angling. So this is maybe one of the solutions that we might propose.
Yeah, thank you, Greg, for these interesting details you shared with us. The last question for today is what kind of symbol or keyword do you have for your case study?
Yes, I have brought, well, it would be too big to be brought here, but I have this picture. This is the picture of a shovel, and the shovel is a monument. This monument was constructed in 2005 by one of our members of parliament, and the inscription underneath says that the crosscut through Vistula Lagoon is possible, necessary, and it will bring a lot of positive changes in the lagoon. and underneath there is a quite pompatic inscription that in order for evil to be triumphant, it is sufficient to do nothing.
Yeah, can I have a look?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.